everyone. My name is Dr. Mariana Alvarez, and I'll be your AI Avatar professor as we take on week 1 of the Ascendia research cohort. Before we get started, I have a quote for you all today from Friedrich Nietzsche. The quote goes like this: "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." Let that marinate. Welcome to the Ascendia research cohort, the 10-week engine that turns frontier life science insight into a deployable biotech workflow. You're standing in the Dell Technologies Conference Center, room 400, inside Atlanta Tech Village. Around you hum unmetered GPUs, a Precision 50 Micro 3D bioprinter, and a cloud IDE that never sleeps. From Slack concierge to Stripe credits, every resource in this room exists, so a scribble in your notebook can earn real revenue before summer ends. Why Atlanta matters. Atlanta has never separated healing from hustle. In 1982, Grady Memorial opened its doors to treat all comers, creating the public hospital model the rest of the South copied. In 1946, the Communicable Disease Center, today's CDC, set up shop 2 miles away, making the city the control tower of American epidemiology. Emory's Winship Cancer Institute later became Georgia's first NCI design center, while Georgia Tech built an artery of bioengineering talent that now feeds every major pharma brand. The outcome is a metro area where hospital helicopters, venture term sheets, and film crews share the same skyline and the same bandwidth, yet discoveries still leak across the perimeter and stall. Ascendia flips that script by fusing research, entertainment, and commerce. Imagine a Braves crowd that scans the Jumbotron QR code between innings and sends micro donations to the diagnostic that you're prototyping. Pictures a Hawks halftime segment where you and your partner unveil an equity dashboard that flags demographic gaps in clinical trials. Research becomes spectacle. Impact becomes participatory. Week 1, problem framing and impact map. Your first sprint is to name a dragon you will slay. By next Friday, you and your collaborator will file 5 artifacts: an executive problem statement of 50 words, 3-layer root cause tree that exposes hidden bottlenecks, a stakeholder grid that lists patients, clinicians, regulators, payers, and industry champions, plus 1 KPI for each. A single sentence elevator pitch powerful enough to survive a distracting Uber ride, and a feasibility snapshot that flags every ethical or regulatory tripwire. These deliverables are not busy work. They will anchor your demo day narrative, populate your grant applications, and keep you safely inside HIPAA-free synthetic data boundaries while you practice. Your toolbox. Every team enjoys 24/7 building access, unlimited IDE sessions, dedicated GPU hours, mentor office hours, a Dell Precision 3260 that prints hydrogel scaffolds at 50 microns, GoDaddy domain voucher as much as $20,000 in Stripe processing, and on-site filming gear for Powell's content, coffee, snacks, and the electric hum of Buckhead's startup spine becomes standard. Ticket economics and venue tiers. You'll choose a demo day date in the room. 10 weeks out is normal, but the cohort votes. Book a conference classroom if you aim for 25 seats, a community hall if you want 50, the Invesco Event Center if you dare to fill 100 to 300. In-person tickets start at $65, live stream passes on Twitch at $20. 65% of gross ticket revenue flows to your team. 35% sustains Z-Score Health operations and future grants. 100% of donations or grant dollars raised because of your showcase stay with you. Every ticket buyer is also a data point that proves strangers will pay to solve the problem you have chosen. Stripe receipts translate directly into commercial readiness when NSF reviewers grade your SBIR draft. Hidden levers in the skyline. Look west at sunset and 4 silhouettes glow in a single line. Bank of America's Plaza Spire, Embry Midtown's helipad, the Centennial Park Ferris wheel, and the CDC's biosafety vault. Finance, care, leisure, and epidemiology occupy 1 visual sentence. Proof that Atlanta monetizes convergence better than any Sunbelt peer. When you live stream a prototype, that shortens door to needle time for stroke patients. Exploit the same logistics lanes that move UPS packages and Falcon fans. Value compounds where worlds overlapped. Evoke Dr. Hamilton Holmes, who desegregated at the University of Georgia in 1961 and later led orthopedics at Grady, was the founding of Morehouse School of Medicine when Black physicians lacked residency slots. Tie your innovation to that lineage, and reviewers will feel the moral momentum behind your metrics. Remember, the Tyler Perry Studios, reborn from decommissioned Army base, can host immersive VR surgical simulations. Atlanta repurposes every asset for the next frontier. Picture the Beltline on Saturday. Runners, cyclists, and stroller parents from a living sensor network of heart rates and air quality exposure. A wearable you validate in week 5 could pilot bear with almost no recruitment costs. Grady EMS already stations paramedics along the East Side Trail during Falcons home games. Partner with them and you gain real-time physiology data that university labs beg for. Corporate giving here tracks victories on the field. After the Braves unseated Houston in 21, Truist tripled community health grants. When the Dream drafted Aaliyah Boston, Emory funded new equity research in women's sports medicine. Your workflow can ride the same wave. Research as entertainment yields a revenue stream and a civics lesson in one transaction. Cite moments like 1917 Ponce de Leon amusement park that later hosted Georgia's first polio vaccine pilot, the 1962 week when Hank Aaron signed it, and Coca-Cola bankrolled Atlanta's first integrated blood donor drive, or State Farm Arena's 2020 transformation into the Southeast's largest vaccination hub. You remind your audience that rapid adaptation is already in the city's DNA. Investors here quietly score 3 variables: the equity delta your product creates in a city with America's widest income gap, the logistics leverage you inherit from sharing a fiber backbone with UPS, world headquarters, and the regulatory proximity that comes from building down the street from both the CDC and an FDA field office. Acknowledge those levers and term sheets appear faster than lab coats dry. Guardrails that keep momentum. No real patient data touches this program. Everything is synthetic or public. Conflict of interest disclosures, IP licenses, media releases, and a strict code of conduct are mandatory. Post at least 3 LinkedIn updates each week because silent founders stall ticket sales. Roadmap in one breath. When week 2 expands your literature review into a gap matrix, week 3 decomposes the workflow into modular tasks. Week 4 specifies tool chains and forges the alpha prototype. Week 5 validates against synthetic data sets. Week 6 locks regulatory and ethics matrices. Week 7 frame your commercial blueprint and pricing. Week 8 packages every asset for handoff. Week 9 rehearses demo data, stress tests every link. Week 10 delivers. Join Slack channel, week 1 kickoff if you already haven't, and introduce yourself. Post a tentative elevator pitch and pitch review, brainstorm demo day dates with your partner, claim your domain before someone else does, and book office hours for any hurdle you foresee. It is Demo Day Eve. Out on Peachtree, the smell of magnolia mixes with the street taco smoke. Inside your venue, the lead wall cycles through logos you designed in week 3, while Twitch chat scrolls faster than a sticker outside CNN Center. Your one-liner flashes. A hush replaces arena noise, and your prototype crunches synthetic cancer registry data live. Donations spike on Stripe. A Winship researcher asked the pilot in their next trial. Ticket revenue deposits at midnight. Your NSF draft stands 90% complete. And a high school sophomore in Decatur decides to major in bioinformatics because she watched your work. Step outside, breathe Atlanta's humid air, and hear the mingled chorus of a Braves home run, an ambulance siren, and a MARTA train. Nietzsche offers the compass. Once your why is alive, the how shrinks the size. We collapse time, you supply purpose. Let's begin.
The hard truth we must start with is this. In the United States, it still takes 17 years, on average, for a discovery reported in peer review to reach the patient's bedside. That means a freshman entering college today could be halfway through a medical residency before a breakthrough announced this semester shows up in standard of care guidelines. The delay is not driven by one villain. It is death by 1,000 handoffs. Slow literature synthesis, siloed lab protocols, under-resourced regulatory teams, and long pauses while capital circles the runway. Ascendia Research Cohort exists to compress that timeline. Our compression algorithm is simple to state and powerful in practice. Cross-institution cohort. You are paired with peers who bring complementary skills and external accountability. AI-driven auto workflows. Large language model agents draft literature maps, flag regulatory flags, and scaffold codes so your human effort focuses on creativity and judgment, not copy-paste. Cloud high-performance compute. GPU hours and automated CI/CD let you validate ideas at industrial scale without waiting for campus queue slots. Together, those three levers take tasks that normally consume months and collapse them into days. The quieter benefit is emotional. When iteration cycles shrink, confidence and ambition rise in equal measure. Now, why plant this engine in Atlanta? Because no other American city concentrates regulators, epidemiologists, venture capital, and logistics infrastructure on the same stretch of interstate. Within a 10-mile radius, you will find an FDA field office that shortens feedback loops from quarters to weeks, CDC headquarters, the Global Command Center for Infectious Disease Policy, a dense grid of life science investors whose portfolios already total billions in deployed assets, and, often overlooked, nearly $9 billion in NIH contracts that flow through the Southeast every year. The expertise, vendor networks, and review boards funded by that stream sit one MARTA right away. Atlanta is a living laboratory where clinical questions, regulatory answers, and commercialization capital occupy the same skyline. When you prototype here, distance to stakeholder is measured in blocks, not flights. But our vision does not end with one cohort or one city. The end state is a self-propagating lattice of micro-startups, small, focused teams that grow out of research sprints, keep equity centered on health justice outcomes, and upload deployable tools back into the market. Each demo day ticket sold, each grant secured, is a seed crystal. Together, those crystals form a platform that renews itself, generation after generation, independent of any single institution. Finally, remember hidden lever number 2. Because we do not touch protected health information during these 10 weeks, you sit completely outside HIPAA 45 CFR Section 160. Every assignment is engineered to plug straight into HIPAA-compliant pipelines once funding is secured. But during the sprint, you are free from institutional review boards, data use agreements, and the legal drag those structures impose. This carve-out lets you iterate at startup speed while still designing for full compliance on day 0 after the program ends. 17 years is the historical gap. Cross-institution cohorts, AI auto workflows, cloud HPC, Atlanta's unique density of regulators and capital, and a HIPAA-free sandbox are the mechanisms that collapse it. Put them to work, and the next time you read a headline about a breakthrough, you might already be shipping the product. Let's get started. Here's how the 10-week runway at Ascendia Research Cohort is engineered, start to finish in one continuous arc. Think of it as a relay race where the baton is value. It leaves your mind as curiosity and crosses the line as revenue, gathering proof points at every handoff. Over the first 3 weeks, you live in the research layer. Your job is to interrogate the problem until it yields structure. By the final Friday, you and your partner file 3 artifacts: a root cause tree that drills at least 3 levels deep, an impact map that connects each branch to real-world consequences, and a KPI lattice that names the numbers you will chase from now on. You do not build yet. You clarify. While you read papers and interview stakeholders, a LangChain pipeline orchestrates a Claude 3 language model behind the scenes. Feed it your literature dump and it parses causal claims, surfaces hidden bottlenecks, and sketches a draft tree so you are iterating on insight rather than inventing scaffolding from scratch. Weeks 4 through 6 shift you into the prototype layer. The question becomes, can it run? You produce a cloud deployable workflow, a version-controlled repository, and a suite of unit tests that keep the lights on when edge cases arrive. Inside the Cloud IDE, a pre-trained agent templatizes your continuous integration files, spins up container definitions, and provisions a sandbox where synthetic data flows in minutes. You still write the critical logic, but the repetitive boilerplate melts away, turning a cycle that normally takes a month of DevOps into an afternoon of validation. With an alpha demo alive, you enter the commercialization layer in weeks 7 through 9. Here you step into the public eye. By the end of this block, you will have a LinkedIn company page that lists headquarters at Atlanta Tech Village, a live.com site under the domain you registered in week 1, and a go-to-market brief that answers 3 investor questions before they can ask them, total addressable market, regulatory path, and first buyer persona. A GPT-powered market matrix generator sits in the background, pre-sketching your TAM calculations and suggesting FDA or EMA pathways based on the claims in your impact map. It is not a replacement for legal counsel, but it does give you a head start that would cost a consulting firm 5 figures. Week 10 is demo day, the point where research becomes entertainment and revenue proof. You deliver a 15-minute pitch, a live product walkthrough, and a real-time Stripe dashboard that shows ticket proceeds landing as you speak. Automation chains Stripe with Eventbrite for payment processing and attendee management, pipes the feed through OBS, and multicasts to Twitch while recording a crisp archive for investors who watch later. Audience members scan a QR code, payments clear in seconds, and the replay link drops into their inbox before they reach the parking deck. A crucial note on ownership: every artifact you create, root cause tree, repository, website, pitch deck, is a licensable asset. The default agreement grants Ascendia a royalty-free, revocable, non-exclusive license so we can showcase your work inside future cohorts. You keep the IP. That means you can accept equity investment, sign exclusive pilots, or open source parts of the codebase without asking our permission. The license exists to let you move fast, not to tie you down. 4 layers, 10 weeks, one unbroken chain of value. Research clarifies the need, prototypes prove feasibility, commercialization opens the market door, and demo day turns strangers into customers. Automations hum quietly in the background, deleting drudge work so human intelligence stays on creative decisions. By the time the house lights dim on Friday night, you will hold revenue receipts, regulatory breadcrumbs, and a public brand, enough evidence to show that 17-year gaps are a relic, not a rule.
Look, what's up? I'm going to throw some paint where it ain't and say what most can't. I'm going to show charity by showing clarity. Let's get into it. You know, this week is about nailing the why, the what, and the first glimpse of how. Nothing more, nothing less. And next Friday, every team must deliver a concise package that lets anyone, from a grade E nurse to a C-state BC, grasp the problem you are attacking and the impact the solution would unleash. Start with your executive problem statement. Strip the story down to a single sentence of 50 words or fewer. It should name the unmet need, hint at the population it harms most, and tease the upside of fixing it. If you need commas, you'll write in 2 sentences. Tighten again. Expand that line into a root cause tree, 3 layers deep. Begin at the visible symptom, say delay, stroke, and intervention, and tunnel downward. What process bottlenecks feed the delay? What policy gap feeds the bottleneck? What logistical or biochemical quirks feed the policy gaps? Show 3 tiers and stop. Beyond that lies speculation. Next, translate insight into numbers with an impact metric tree of: 1 metric must track the equity delta, how your workflows narrow a demographic gap. 1 must track the clinical delta, how it improves health outcomes or safety. 1 must track the margin delta, how it changes cost curves or revenue lines for whoever pays the bill. If a metric cannot be measured inside 12 months, choose another. Both those metrics in the stakeholder and KPI matrix. That's your primary gap. Patient, clinician, payer, regulator, or CRO, and assign a single KPI to each. A patient might care about time to dose. A regulator might watch false positive rate. A payer might obsess over avoided readmissions. 1 row per stakeholder, 1 number per row. Clarity equals respect. Then draft the feasibility snapshot. 1 slide, no sub-bullets. Cover regions or server costs. Obvious regulatory flags and compute footprint. Think of it as a selfie at financial gatekeepers so they can decide whether a second date is worth their inbox. Out of this material, you craft an elevator pitch. In 1 sentence with no commas, build on the template. We unlocked for by your DM that line to 3 investors or strategic partners before Friday night. Direct, jargon-free language earns replies. Anything else earns silence. Add a regulatory guest pass. Map your intended workflow to an FDA, CDRH device class. And if human trials loom, tag the relevant ICH E17 diversity plugin. You're not filing anything yet. You're proving that you can see the guardrails before you hit them. Hit lever number 3. Reviewers subconsciously give an extra point when you cite the acronym they plan to lecture on. Now set a first revenue target. Choose your venue tier, right? 25, 50, or 100 to 300 seats. Decide the blend between $65 in-person tickets and $20 Twitch stream passes. Leave the break-even worksheet in your ID notebook to confirm exactly how many tickets must clear before the lights come on. A viable plan shows margin at 40% of capacity. Otherwise, trim scope or raise price. Finally, lock the countdown. 10 weeks from now is Friday, July 25th, 2025. That could be a possible day to have the event. Let's, drop a timestamp into the calendar invite, your Slack channel topic, and your LinkedIn event draft. Every future sprint back saws from that immovable hour. Deliverables in hand, you'll exit week one with a problem framed, an impact hypothesis quantified, stakeholders mapped, feasibility sketched, and an elevator pitch ready to travel. A regulatory breadcrumb laid and a revenue model that knows its math. That is enough foundation to keep you honest for the next 9 weeks, and enough signal to convince outsiders you're worth watching. Now take a breath, open your notebook, and start the 50-word sentence that will make everything else inevitable.